Hey, what's up, fellas and mushies, female fans? Steve-alicious here, back today with the Galaxy S9. But before we get to all of that, thank you so much to all the new subscribers, getting close up to 6,800 now as of the taping of this video. If you've been loving the tech, both new and sort of old, go ahead and give that subscribe button a tussle. It certainly means a lot to me. Okay, so the Galaxy S9 from 2018. Wanted to give it a look because Amazon renewed. See, this is where we start to get into the... I told you a while back that there was a lot of deals out there to be had if you were comfortable with a flagship that was a couple years older. In this case, a little bit more than that. But you're going to see the utility that you could get in a device that's 4 years old, still a flagship, for $166. So you put that in kind of perspective with the other devices that you're getting in that price range. Some of the lower end, or used to be some of the lower end LG devices, some of the lower end A series, some of the Nokia 5-point-something series, some of the Motorola offerings. So you pack that in as far as, those are new devices, okay? This one you're getting renewed. But you put that up against something like this, and I do think this delivers some advantages. So link will be in the description. Amazon renewed, $166. That's where I got mine. I've had a lot of luck with a few different sellers now on there. You could tell, when I first got it, you could tell this one was in a case. It had kind of the honeycomb patterning, and the only pattern on there. And the only real sign of any sort of wear that I had on mine was right here in the corner. You could tell that was probably the only spot that wasn't protected by a case, right on the fingerprint sensor, like the foil there, whatever the protective material there, peeled away just a little bit. But the screen itself is flawless. No issues around it. The metal band around it, no issues. So I was perfectly happy with my purchase. But if you get yours and you don't like it, take advantage of that return policy. 90 days. Go ahead and return it. Get yourself another one. But let's talk about it. So what do you get for your $166 now in 2022? Well, it's a Snapdragon 845 processor, which I've talked about this comparison before. That was just used, or at least the equivalent was just used recently with the Snapdragon 765G. If there was a phone that had a Snapdragon 765G, and LG did this, that didn't need the 5G, or that we're going to offer the 5G or make it a little cheaper, they put a Snapdragon 845 in. And we saw it with the Razer phone a couple videos ago. Performance is still exactly what you'd expect. It's lost maybe a step in opening programs, and I really attribute that to the next thing, which is the 4 gigabytes of RAM that this has. So you are limited there in 2022 with 4 gigabytes, which I think is really the minimum now for any sort of Android device. So there might be a lot of app closing and the RAM optimization that happens, that goes on in the background there, that might be causing a little bit of that slowdown. But once you have the app up, once you have Twitter up, all the rest of it, you're not going to notice a heck of a lot of difference, right? Scroll speeds are still what you want. You still get everything done. Social media, TikTok, Instagram, Reddit, WhatsApp, scrolling, Pokemon Go, YouTube, Discord. You see all the stuff that I have. I use this device. No issues whatsoever. You're not going to notice any difference. Because how fast can some of these things actually run? If you're limited yourself to social media, how fast can it run where you can still use it? As long as it's up and it's smooth, the rest is just gravy. So for here, if you're looking for a phone sub $200, I think you pick up a lot. And when you're talking, I understand the 4 gigs of RAM is limiting, but when you're talking that $150-ish range new, that's where you're landing a lot of times when it comes to RAM, is that 4 gigabytes. So, battery, 3,000 milliamp hours, which is small in today's standards, but I still was able to get 4 hours of screen on time, which was quite good. I was pleased with that. So 4 hours of screen on time, I think, was good for a device in this range. And you're getting that beautiful display, which is another thing that you pick up from some of the budget devices in the $150 range, is you're getting that Quad HD Samsung panel, the OLED panel. Beautiful colors, fantastic, 60 hertz, but who cares? Great contrast, all the rest of it. So instead of those 1080p, in some cases 720p displays on phones in this $150 price range, you're picking up Quad HD, which is quite nice. Wireless charge, headphone jack, you're picking back up USB-C charging. You get some stuff back also that you'd wish you'd have on 2020 flagships. You get the iris sensor, which is incredibly secure. A lot of people were very sad to see that go. In fact, I think the last phone they had it on was the Note 9, so 2018 was the last time they offered that. So it'd be nice to see that back on certain devices, but a lot of people miss that. The iris sensor is on the Galaxy S9. Samsung Pay, which is another head scratcher that they get rid of in recent devices. That was excellent, was a fan favorite that you get back with a device like this. The fingerprint sensor is something that, listen, the in-display ones are nice. They're fantastic. It's all well and good. But when you go back to an actual physical fingerprint sensor on the back or side of a device, you notice that difference. As good as the ultrasonic and all that, some of them have gotten really fast and really accurate, but they're nothing quite beats that physical one in the back. It's just instantaneous, and you forget how fast fingerprint sensors could actually be until you go back to something like this. Downsides, listen, it's not all great. One of the downsides and one of the things that you are going to lose, that it depends on how important that is to you, is security updates. So this is going to be out for pretty sure this one's done. I know that the S10 met that threshold. I think they're picking up another year of updates, but this has not gotten a security update since August of 2021 of last year. And you're going to be on Android 10, One UI 2.5, which thankfully, if you're going to get stuck on a version of One UI or a version of Android, you can do a heck of a lot worse than 10, because you get the gestures, you get all the rest of it. And One UI 2.5 was robust, stable, really good. I had no problems with it on my Note, no problems with it here on this device. Every device I used it on has been pretty solid. S10 Plus, I loved it on. So if you're going to get stuck with no support on one, that's not an awful one to be on. Yeah, and also there's other choices out there. People keep talking about it's not Lineage. I keep calling it Lineage OS. I think it's Lineage OS would make more sense, especially for legacy devices. There's Lineage OS that supports this. You could get it all the way up to, I think, Android 12 if you want. But unless you're really worried about security updates, and we're not talking about years out of date, we're talking a few months now, then I think you could get away with leaving it on the One UI 2.5 and not really have a problem. And DeX! People always hate when I don't mention DeX, but yes, you are getting DeX on this device as well. If you are a DeX fan, if you want to just hook up your mobile phone to a external display or a screen of some sort and use it like a computer, you can absolutely do that. A lot of people love it. You know, I've used it a few times maybe to test stuff out, but I never really got into it. But every time I have a Samsung device, I don't mention DeX. People obviously like it, so that's great. You get DeX on something like this. You pick up DeX for $166. Plus, it's the smaller size, which at the time was a downside because there was the S9 Plus. But you've seen it with the iPhone Mini. You've seen it with some of the other devices, the Pixel devices. They've started going back to these smaller devices that you can easily handle with one hand. It's a nice pocketable size, so you get some of that back here with the small display. Notification LED, which is quite nice. Another feature that you wished some of these modern devices would have. But overall, it's just a nice experience. You're getting more than you'd think in this range for $166. And if you're looking at a phone sub $200, you really have to ask yourself if you're willing to sacrifice, because in my mind, performance-wise and all the rest of it, the only thing you're really sacrificing is that hope of updates. But a lot of times those companies in the $150 range that are offering these devices aren't that great with the updates. And you're not going to get a lot of security patches as it is. So you do pick up the build quality. You know, glass is glass, whether it's 2018 or 2022. Wireless charging, same thing. You know, Quad HD, same thing. So you are picking up quite a bit. Oh, I forgot the camera. Camera's still good. I'll throw up a couple shots here. Camera's still fantastic. No issues there. As long as you have good light, you're going to have a good image. Overall, I think you do a heck of a lot worse at $166, especially when you start to bring it out a little bit and compare it to a lot of the new offerings in that price range, and the lack of performance, the lack of the build quality, the screen quality just not being there. This still has a heck of a lot to offer. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time. See, this is at least a pink that lavender you could manage. All right? It's not Mystic Bronze. It knows what it is. They call it lavender or whatever. It's purple. It owns up to it. Have that Steve-alicious day.